Formula One Philosophy is back for the United States Grand Prix, the Circuit of the Americas recap. This is going to be a different episode than what we normally do, because we're not going to do two parts, good and bad. You may see this as two parts, but Sean and I are just going to give a recap because there's a lot to talk about, a lot of implications. The season is heating up. The championship is heating up. The world is on fire. How about yours, Sean?
I don't know what to say to that, Nick. That would have been helpful to preface in the preamble we just had.
Well, I just assume you know all the lyrics to every Smash Mouth song, because who wouldn't?
Uh-huh. You know I don't actually live in your head, right?
Oh, I just assume everybody is a... What did we say this week? Like a simulation of my mind? The world.
No, we're all part of your simulation.
Correct, yeah. Elon Musk thinks the same thing, so if he's a billionaire, it's working out for me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Sean, how was your week?
The week was okay. Can't complain too much. It's about to get busy, so we have to get this out of the way before we just don't have an episode this week.
It's a good idea. So let's get into it. All right. Like I said, I'm doing things a little differently this week. So we're just going to... Since I yelled at you for 45 minutes last episode, I think you deserve something better than that this week. And I'm just going to ask you some questions. I'll make some comments about what we saw this weekend. I got my rant out earlier in the week for everybody who hasn't listened to my solo episode about the situation at McLaren. Go listen if you want.
Do yourself a favor and don't.
I think I nailed it, but we'll get into that later.
I wouldn't know because I couldn't drag myself to listen to it.
You know, I would love to listen to a solo Sean episode. It's been a while. But sure, just...
I mean, it's a good way to put yourself to sleep.
Just sling mud at Nick. And I guess, you know what, you self-deprecated yourself there. So you know what? That's neutral. That's a neutral comment there. The sprint, we'll start there. Max Verstappen wins, George Russell second, Carlos Sainz third. For the Ferraris, Yuki Tsunoda in there. I should probably get the actual results before just spouting off the top of my head. But the top three was a big deal. Both McLarens DNF in the sprint, causing utter chaos the rest of the weekend and shit-talking from the media about what's going on at McLaren all the way up into the race. I thought it was a decent sprint. I didn't get to watch. I only got to watch the highlights, unfortunately, because of an issue recording that I was able to fix for the race. But Sean, what did you think of the sprint? And my main question to you is, who's at fault for the Turn 1 incident with the McLarens?
So I'll take a step back from that and remind you all what I said last week about this not being McLaren's event. Still isn't McLaren's event. This isn't it. Everybody wants to make it seem like it is, but it's not. Oscar's move, it's Alonso's fault. Oscar's move was ambitious, but ultimately it's a racing incident. If I'm going to point at anybody, it's Alonso. Alonso put himself in a position that wasn't going to amount to anything but getting pinched, which didn't allow Hülkenberg to move, which then effectively forced him into Piastri. So, yes, Piastri could have been a little more subtle, but we got what we got. It was a racing incident. Nobody was punished for it. Can't really argue too much with that. From what I saw, the McLaren team was pretty vocal that they thought everybody else was at fault and didn't know how to race. I thought that was a little critical. So this is still not it. I'm still holding on to Brazil. Brazil is where we're going to see some real fireworks. Other than that, I mean, Yuki did well. He We didn't see too much of it, but he put on an overtaking clinic in that first section, mainly helped by the chaos. But again, he showed us how smooth and how precise he can be when he wants to be, question mark, both the sprint and the race. So whatever happened this weekend, hopefully that's true form and not just a fluke. But it was an improvement. I think maybe Yuki listened to us and took a bit of offense to what we were saying, Nick.
I hope so. It's too little, too late. Actually, well, if you think about it, it was 2 years ago he saved his job with the last 6 races, and we could be on for that. But I just think the writing's on the wall for the Red Bull team. You can't just wait for the last 6 races. But you are right about what happened in the sprint. That was very impressive. And he seemed to get better after he offloaded Hulkenberg's wing. So, yeah.
I don't know how he made it through that first sector with the wing lodged under the car.
Yeah. Wild.
I saw him in free practice. I want to say it was free practice 2. He got all sorts of squirrely going through those S's. Held it, but it looked nasty. And then to see him execute it perfectly with a giant piece of debris wedge between him and the track, I think it made the car better.
Red Bull should take some notes for the second car.
Well, maybe they just said, fuck it, run the floor as is.
I'll just comment on the first corner incident. No, if McLaren was smart and Norris didn't want to defend his position, he wouldn't have gone deep, causing Piastri to be ambitious. This is me not blaming Norris. This is me blaming more McLaren, that if there was a sense of don't race each other, that probably wouldn't have happened. But ultimately, I think you're right. Because Norris did go deep first, which brought on the move from Piastri, which, like you said, was brought upon on Hulkenberg. I agree with you. I just think, in a sense, that's something to comment on, that if McLaren was being smart, and this is foreshadowing what the rest of this conversation is going to talk about, if McLaren was smart, that wouldn't have happened. And once again, a poor start from Norris, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you heard it, but apparently there were going to be repercussions for Norris for the rest of the season. That's what they said leading up to the sprint, the entire weekend. There are going to be repercussions for what happened in Singapore.
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody elaborated on what that was, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people threw out some really fucked up ideas, like, oh, they're going to give Piastri the win if Lando's in the place to win it. No, they're not. They're not going to let Lando fight him, which didn't seem to be the case. Right, we saw that in turn 1, that deep move from Lando was a defense of Piastri trying to go around the outside. So whatever was happening, whatever this repercussion allegedly was, doesn't seem to have mattered. So I think we all just need to ignore, like I said last weekend, ignore all the nonsense going on behind the scenes. This is the media, F1, Netflix, all trying to make it more enticing. I mean, from a racing standpoint, it's plenty exciting. From a championship standpoint, we've got a close fight. We don't need the extra nonsense drama. This doesn't need to be a reality TV show. Let's just let it unfold the way it is, because frankly, that on its own is enough.
But this is what they said. This is what Stefano Domenicali has been alluding to for the last little while, is that he wants this new no attention span generation. That's what he wants more than anything, and he takes shots at them, and he essentially gives him what he thinks they want, which is this constant back and forth and this constant drama talk behind the scenes. And yeah, I've played into it a bit too, because I do think something is going on between Brown and Stella. But this is the future they want, right? We need to shorten the races. We need to do all these things, all these new sprints, because the attention span of the youth can't handle it. And it's like, we're going to see more of this. And I think you're right. You're right. We shouldn't, but I think that's what we're due to get.
Now, let me throw something out there for you, Nick. Based on what we talked about last week about Ferrari and their Orwellian nature, do you think there's any coincidence behind an ex-Ferrari man now running the entire show?
That is a good point.
Maybe our listeners don't know, but Stefano Domenicali used to run the Ferrari team.
He was the team principal during the Alonso years, I believe, right?
He used to run Ferrari and moved on to higher positions, and then eventually went to take over F1 once it was bought out by Liberty. So we talk about the nonsense that is Ferrari and all the perks that they get. One of their most influential former team members is now responsible for the entire show. So I'm not the conspiracy theorist here, but you have at it, Nick.
Well, then he's trying to set up a league where it's more conducive to Ferrari winning, I think is what you're alluding to. And my thought process
No.
Okay.
No, well, that's not what I'm alluding to.
Or I guess you're also I think I know what you're saying.
I'm going back to the conversation we had last year about not last year, Jesus. Last week, the conversation about Ferrari basically bludgeoning us all into believing that they are F1.
So
and the stupidity of it all. And now you have Stefano Domenicali running the show, who is effectively responsible for a large portion of that stupefaction of Ferrari.
And so he's going to bring about a Orwellian type of F1 that tells you what to think, even though you see different things with your own eyes.
Yes.
Yeah. I can see that, like everybody, but eventually and you're seeing this throughout the world now, the propaganda can only go so far. Eventually people push back. Eventually people fight back and say no. And I think they will destroy themselves if they do that. Because
oh, sure, but they got years.
Yeah. Well,
they'll milk this for everything they can until that happens.
What have I been saying to you for 15 years? Here we are.
You're one person, Nick.
I know, but here we are at a point where everybody's like, oh, I miss V10s, I miss refueling, I miss tire manufacturers. And
Again,
yeah. But
no, but who's pushing the V10 nonsense?
You know what? You're right. That is them. That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Domenicali and Ferrari.
That's a good point.
They pushed it so hard. They went and built the fucking 2025 car with a V10 in it.
I didn't see that. That's wild.
Yeah, they were running it around Fiorano.
Oh. So Ferrari is wagging the tail of F1. Let's land this to justify, like you said, Orwellian nature, to change the minds of the youth, to bring back a V10 Ferrari in the hopes that they can win one day.
I don't even think it's that structured. You're putting way more rigidity to this, way more intelligence into this discussion.
You're right there, Ferrari.
Like you said, Stefano has made it clear that he wants this low attention span generation just to milk them for the money, right? Prop up the teams, make them larger than life godlike entities, give everybody what they think and what they're told that they want, and make them all chomp for it. And then it justifies the narrative that this is what the people want, because you've beaten them over the head so much that they truly believe that this is what they want, which it doesn't actually make fucking sense.
Sean, you're sounding like me, and it's amazing. That's called goal seeking. It's incredible. It's goal seeking. It's like with traders. This is how we have certain stocks at like $1 million while everybody else is poor. It's people pour a bunch of money into it at a certain point. say, look how great the stock is, so everybody else buys it. Well, all these people who poured a bunch of money into it sell it. That's a metaphor for what you're saying is happening in Formula One. Let's pump up a bunch of people, make them gods, and sell to you things you don't really actually want.
Mm-hmm.
Well said, Sean. As much as I'd like to delve into this, we should bring this back up at the end of the season. Propaganda in Formula One.
Yeah, we can get more into it, and we can wrap that part of the discussion up. I just want to put in how I got here. It's from watching basically the entire WEC season in the last 2 weekends. You got me curious, so I went back and I watched the Fuji race, and then once I watched the Fuji race, it spawned a marathon of WEC. Because frankly, I think WEC is doing it right. 2 weeks after the race, they put the entire thing up for free on YouTube, which I think is fantastic. And from watching WEC, that is what I want to see in racing. Now, you can't compare the two. I don't think F1 needs to go to 6-hour races or 10 or 12 or 24-hour races. That's not beneficial to anybody. And there are a lot of things that WEC does that are specific to WEC. But as someone who truly enjoys motorsport and racing, WEC is what I want to watch. And yeah, they do some of the same nonsense as F1, but it's copycat. It's because that's what's penetrating the media now, and that's what they think they have to do. But the racing is so much better. And the overall series is more cohesive and less artificial. So that's what's got me thinking about this, Nick. And we can dive into that later in the off season together.
I'm down. WEC has piqued my interest this year. You're right. Yeah, it's a little bit more of a, I guess, rougher racing, but it's very fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the cars are just as expensive, but it's less suicidal to rub up against people. Let's put it that way.
Yes. All right. I want to comment on one thing before we get into the race. You brought up the Racing Bulls liveries to me this week. Do you want to comment on those?
Yeah, I saw that text message the day after I sent it to you and wasn't sure when I had actually sent that to you, which is bizarre because I had not been drinking.
Wow,
so let's
you heard it here first.
Yeah, so it was basically about the one-off liveries. So for a while, F1's been bouncing back and forth, and they did this with drivers' helmets, and it really pissed me off, where they said drivers can only have one helmet per season, one helmet design per season, because it confuses the viewers. If the viewers can't find which driver is behind the wheel, they're going to lose interest.
Oh, wow.
So they had one helmet per season and allowed them one variant, one race where they were allowed to run something else. And very quickly, the fans all came back and kind of pushed against that and went, this is not what we want. And now the drivers are free to do whatever the fuck they want. They can have 24 different helmets. We've seen drivers run different helmets on the same weekend. And I think it's great. Let them do whatever the hell they want. Let them personalize all that. And I think what I was getting at for teams is that you've got a lot of teams that have to effectively shill themselves out to sponsors. Like Jordan was notorious for this, right? He's got his story where he painted half of the car with one sponsor's color scheme, the other half of the car with the other sponsor's color scheme, and put the two sponsors on separate sides of the track so they weren't seeing the other guy's colors.
That's hilarious.
You do that shit for sponsor money, right? And the FIA actually regulates what the livery looks like, and you have to submit it to the FIA for approval and all that for several different reasons. But the idea is that it shouldn't be changing every race. But there are teams that seem to do it better than others. And Racing Bulls seems to be one of those teams that can do it really well. And we've seen Red Bull be able to do it with their camouflage liveries that they use in testing from time to time, but are too chicken shit to run during the actual season for whatever reason. And I think it was just me stuck watching qualifying and looking at that Racing Bulls livery, which wasn't my favorite of theirs, but it was different. And it was a lot bolder than what Williams rolled out. Right? Everybody made a stink about the Williams livery, which, okay, yeah, it goes back to one of their older cars when they were doing well, but it wasn't particularly good. Right? And that's where I think some teams need to be a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for, Nick?
Gutsy?
A little bit more bold.
There you go.
Yeah, gutsy, bold in what they're doing with their liveries. Yeah, there's a weight element to it, but we've gone away from black cars now. Everybody seems to have come down to a point where they can actually put paint on the cars, or vinyl in most cases. So why not let them just go for it? Just go, right? Red Bull doesn't need the sponsor money. Their car is primarily their own company, right? They need more people with more creative ideas doing crazy shit to the look of these cars. I think that has more of an impact than some of the other shit that F1 is trying to force down our throat. And we've seen some good liveries over the years. We've seen McLaren have a few really nice ones. We've seen Williams Racing Bulls come out and have really nice looking liveries. Alfa Romeo had a couple of really nice, unique, classy looking ones. We need more of that. That's all it was really about.
And you're right, because this is still a car racing series, even though it's like a single seater. But one of the big things that gets people into cars is beauty, right? So don't forget about that. Don't forget about beauty. These cars are still, in a lot of ways, art.
Yes.
Don't forget that. That's a very good point, Sean.
And this has another parallel to WEC, because WEC, you have two cars on a team, but those two cars are drastically different liveries. Just for the simple fact that you want to tell them apart. Now, obviously, you can't see drivers' helmets as freely from the outside in a sports car, so that's part of it. But you look at the two, Porsche hypercars, the Cadillacs, they've got very different color schemes. Some of the other ones are not so drastic, like the Aston Martin Valkyrie just has a slight trim piece on the nose that changes colors. The Alpines have same sort of, one's more red, one's more blue or something like that, but it does add an aspect to it, and it actually makes it a lot easier to determine who you're looking at, right? I can't tell you how many times in the race they go, oh, that's so-and-so. Oh, wait, no, it's not so-and-so. It's this person.
Yeah.
Right?
I hope we get to a point where you see 22 different cars with 22 different liveries. That would be
yeah, and we're not talking drastically different, but something to offset them.
Yeah. I'd be down for that. Shall we get into the race?
Let's do it.
Super Max. 2 in a row. Wait, no, not 2 in a row. 3 of 4. I said to you...
3 of
the last 4. I said to you after Baku, if he wins Singapore and Austin, I'm all in.
And he didn't do that, Nick.
He didn't, but he beat the McLarens both times, and he took out 64 points in 4 weekends. 40 points behind Oscar, 26 behind Lando. I'm all in. I'm all in. If you want to tell me if this is the trajectory, if this is the trend, I'm all in on Max, because we thought Lando could catch Max last year with 4 races and 1 sprint. Max has 5 and 2 sprints. I'm all in. I'm all in. I think he has a great shot to win the title. He just got to keep doing what he's doing. This was just another absolute masterclass of a race. Just took control, never looked back. He was never in doubt to win. Nothing much else to say about that, but what do you think?
I think I'm with you.
Wow.
So he's going to take Mexico.
Yes. 100%.
That, to me, is a given. That Honda engine seems to like Mexico, where others aren't so keen. But Brazil throws a potential monkey wrench in it, because Max is great in Brazil. But when it's dry, he's not the best. He's still phenomenal, don't get me wrong, but when it's dry, we have people like Lewis and Russell show up. And with the pace that Ferrari has had these last couple weekends, I think Hamilton stands a chance.
Wow.
I think Hamilton is showing that he's becoming more comfortable in the same way that Sainz is becoming more comfortable in the Williams. So Hamilton has a chance of coming back here and putting in what the Ferrari fans want from him in Brazil, which is also a sprint weekend. So maybe we have a duplicate of China where he wins the sprint and then shits his pants on the race. But it's something. And Russell is also good there. And we've seen that. And Russell is in a consistent car.
Yeah.
So
Russell's good dry or wet.
This time,
yeah.
Yes. In the wet, Verstappen definitely has the edge in Brazil. The only bizarre thing is that the Ferrari has been good in cold conditions, but the last 2 weekends when the Mercedes has been pretty strong have been really hot weekends. The last 3 weekends, actually. So they've seemed to overcome that issue. And Brazil, this time of year, we're ending their winter.
Yeah, it's mid-spring.
Because the track is south of the equator, yeah. So it has the potential to be cool, but it also has the potential to be plenty warm. It will be inconsistent weather, most likely.
Yeah. Does that mean, just not to throw you off, but like just to help with the Max could win train, does that mean Vegas favors the Ferrari this year? Because it's probably going to be cold?
No, I don't think the Ferrari has the speed.
That's a good point. Yeah, but Max
I don't think
does.
that track. Yes. So Red Bull will potentially suffer on the long straights, which I think will give it to Mercedes, unless I'm misremembering the data. But I don't believe that Ferrari has a whole lot of straight line speed without trimming off the downforce excessively, which won't help them in Las Vegas.
Just to Max in Brazil, they were struggling last year, and he pulled off something amazing off in the wet. But this is like, I know you're saying there could be potential monkey wrenches. He's on form. He's comfortable with his car. He's developing his car the way he wants it. And McLaren's lost.
I'm absolutely with you.
Yeah, I didn't think you were arguing with me. I think wet or dry, he's in a really good position there.
Yes, absolutely. Now, what I think is a more realistic monkey wrench is you get a qualifying position 1, 2, 3 that includes Max, Lando, and Piastri, and Russell comes out T1 and intact, and nobody else does.
So that's not Osama bin Russell. That's not what's the Kamikaze Russell? What is that? Because like both of those are suicidal.
But I mean, you can still call it Osama bin Russell because bin Laden didn't fly himself into the building.
That's, you know what, Sean? That might be the comment of the night. Clip it, make it a short.
Please don't. I've got a career to worry about, Nick.
Okay, I won't do that. Yeah, the momentum's with Max. The car, Max likes it. Oh, well, Red Bull's rallied around one guy and developed with him the entire season. Amazing that towards the end of the season, he's in a position to win it all. Huh. It's not like I've been saying that
but
preseason. 2 years about McLaren. Yeah, anyway, sorry.
The difference is Red Bull doesn't get as much money from it. They get less development time and they get less money than McLaren. Sorry,
Yeah.
they don't get less development time than McLaren. They get less development time than if they had stayed further back. But, yeah. And yes, second place is still a shit ton of money, don't get me wrong. But they're not winning the championship.
The one that matters.
Because, yeah, exactly.
Because
That being said, I think they're going to overtake Mercedes.
Yuki
They're going
comes,
to come second.
because Yuki comes to play now.
If Max is winning every race from here on out, more or less, he can probably do it on his own. But Yuki's coming to play now.
Yes. Wow. I can't believe we're in agreement on this. I thought you were going to push back on me on this, but we're all in, everybody. And we want to see it happen.
I don't want it to happen.
Oh, okay, I do. Why?
I don't want it to happen.
Why not?
Because I want Piastri to get it. Just to fucking kill Norris.
Yes.
And to rub it in your face at the same time. But,
because I did predict this preseason. I did say that something like a Sebastian Vettel tear at the end was in play. I didn't think they'd fuck up the first part of the season the way they did, but I did see something like this, especially if McLaren and never figured out that Norris was the problem. I'm going to pat myself on the back for that because I did say that preseason, and that's exactly what's unfolding. But you're right. When you say it like that, for the long-term health of Formula One, Piastri should win this title. Because if
I don't care about the long-term health of Formula One. I just want to rub it in your face that the Mark Webber managed Australian did what you said he couldn't do at the beginning of the year.
Well, to segue to that, I won't even finish my other point. We'll just segue to my next question. And it's actually, I want to just get your comment on one of our listeners. One of our listeners asked us a question, and I want your take on it. It's from Joseph Naran. He asked us after our last episode recap. He said, do you guys feel like Piastri is under pressure? I think that's an obvious answer, but the rest of it, he said, he's only beaten Norris twice in the past 8 races. Circumstances aside, I feel like the Zandvoort DNF is hiding his recent slump. So do you think he's under pressure, and do you think he's in a slump?
So I saw that comment, and I'm looking at the data now, and I understand why that question comes up. So yes, he's under pressure. He feels, and this is just my speculation, but let's say educated speculation, he feels that he's been done wrong. And that puts a whole lot of pressure on you to try and either prove them wrong or get out of your own head and just do it, which does create issues. So yes, there is pressure there. Like you said, it's a pretty cut and dry answer. Is he in a slump? Statistically, throughout the season, no. We mentioned it last week that Norris only has 5 wins. The season where he's in second, was that 14 points off the lead with 5 wins. This is not a slump for Piastri, right? We have consistent races where he's winning back to back at the beginning of the season, but then we have periods where he drops off. Right? So he won let's see here. He won China, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Miami, Imola. No. China, Bahrain. All right. Let's actually look at the data, Sean. He won China. Did not win Japan. Max won Japan. Won Bahrain. Won Saudi Arabia. Won Miami.
Yes.
Did not win Imola. Max won Imola. Did not win Monaco. Won Spain. Did not win Canada. Did not win Austria. Did not win Great Britain. He did win Belgium. Did not win Hungary. Won the Netherlands. Did not win Italy, Baku, Singapore, US. All right. So statistically, he's within the standard deviation of his wins. If this continues through the end of the season, then yes, it's a late season slump. But he still has every opportunity to come back and maintain the consistency and the rhythm that he had the rest of the season. That's my take on it.
That's excellent point about the slump. So I'm going to leave that at that. That was perfect. Look at the whole season, everybody. Don't just look at, this is a problem we have in Formula One and Formula One media and Formula One fans, is that you're only as good as your last race. But when dealing with the championship, look at the whole thing. That's an excellent point by Sean. if he is under pressure, it's medically induced pressure. Like to say like
Explain yourself.
yeah, like a medically induced coma. You mentioned Austria, Great Britain, Hungary. And in between there, he won Belgium, won Zandvoort, won Spain. I think in his mind, he could have won all of those in a row. And like you said, he feels slighted.
Sure.
He feels slighted, yeah. Great Britain aside, I'll put that aside, like he probably didn't deserve that. He probably deserved a penalty. I'll disagree with it personally, but in his mind, he could have won all those if the team supported him. So now he's under pressure in a way that he's in his own head, and he feels like he's fighting his team and he's fighting Max and Lando. So that's the medically induced pressure. Let's like I said a while back, Oscar can only win until Lando's had every opportunity to win. So Oscar can only win if Lando loses. That's the medically induced pressure. He can't just be himself because he still has to wait for Lando. And I think he is at some point he needed to yell at them on the radio, and he didn't. And that's where he could be Mark Webber. That's where he could die on that hill and end up being like Mark Webber because he never stood up to them. He just let it happen. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm hopeful that he can turn something around. Rather see Max win at this point, but I am hopeful.
Yeah. And this is part of the reason why I want Piastri to win. Because if he pulls this out, if he comes back with this pressure that is on him now, and like you said, whether it's induced by the team himself, external circumstances, whatever it is a lot of pressure. If he comes back and still manages to win this, even if it's by 1 point, or even if it's by fluke half a point, let's say you get massive rain in Brazil and they call the race before halfway and you get half a point. Whatever the margin is, if he wins, it is exactly what you just said. He was allowed to win only after Lando was given every opportunity, which then means he is genuinely better than Lando. And that's what I want to see out of this season. I want to see a season that ends at the last race, at the last lap. This is the definitive conclusion. And Piastri is the better driver. And we know that now because it's clear through 24 races, McLaren favored him at every turn. Lando, that is, not Piastri. And despite that, Piastri still won.
That'll be the first of its kind.
It would be what Rubens Barrichello wanted.
Yes. That's a good way to put it. I have one more question before we do our final thoughts. Is there anything to the idea, in my mind, that Piastri's car is suffering from bad development because they're focusing on Lando? Is Oscar's car is getting worse because they're trying to deal with Lando's issues, to put it another way? Not necessarily.
No, so McLaren...
Go on.
Sorry, go ahead. Finish.
No, I was just going to say not necessarily sabotaging Oscar, just to try and help Lando. Like I said, they haven't focused development on their guy, Piastri, who was crushing it early in the season. To try and help Lando, they've messed up both cars.
Yeah. It's good that you bring this up. So McLaren is one of the teams that has just abandoned this season from a development standpoint. They are not bringing upgrades. They are modifying whatever they can on existing componentry, but they're not redeveloping floors. They're not designing new wings. They've been pretty clear with that for most of the season. Their focus is on next year, which is part of the reason why Red Bull and Mercedes and Ferrari have come back and seem to be closer to McLaren. It's because McLaren hasn't moved the goalpost. Right? Red Bull has seen the piss poor performance they had at the beginning of the season and said, this isn't good enough. We cannot be fourth in the Constructors' Championship. So they put money into developing this year's car, which may mean that next year doesn't go their way. Mm-hmm. The same with Ferrari.
Oh,
Mercedes has been a little bit more conservative, and McLaren has basically just abandoned this year's car. So to the point of, is development going away from Piastri? No, because there has not been any development.
okay.
From, I think, before halfway through the season, there has been no development. As far as sabotage in setup, let's say, because that's one thing that the drivers do have an impact on, is how they set this car up. These drivers should know how they like the car. Now, there's something to be said about, is the pressure getting to Piastri, and he thinks that he's got to look at Norris's setup and what he's doing on the car to try and improve himself. There's merit in that. It is possible that he's gotten into his own head and said, can I go faster if I do what Norris does? And maybe that's led him down a path of trying to chase what he thinks is speed, but is actually slowing him.
Good point.
Right? So this is the Verstappen versus Albon versus any of his other teammates thing. Verstappen likes a car that is extremely pointy and feels like you've got your sensitivity dialed to the max. Whereas we know from Sainz, for example, wants the opposite of that. He wants a car that's not as pointy and is a little bit more even-handed, let's say. Yes, it's got more understeer. Yes, you have to know what the car is going to do, but it's easier to know what the car is going to do when it's not as twitchy, right? Verstappen hates that. Verstappen wants a twitchy car because that's what's easy to drive for him. None of his other teammates got it.
Mm.
We know how Sainz likes his car set up. We know Albon has said, I tried Verstappen's car. It's a fucking nightmare. Right? Clearly it's not, because Verstappen knows how to drive it, but nobody else can. And maybe that's similar to Oscar and Lando. Lando likes his car one way, Piastri likes it the other way. Now that the pressure's on, maybe Oscar's thinking, hey, do I need to go this way? If I can get the apex at this corner the same way that Lando does, maybe I'll be faster. How do I do that? Let's use his setup. Well, no. If it doesn't suit your driving style, you're never going to get on top of it. So maybe that is part of it, Nick.
Good point.
And that is, it's valid.
But it's not necessarily McLaren doing it. It's just,
right.
Yeah, so it's just Oscar, put the blinders on, focus on being the driver you were or are, and just don't try and beat Lando. Be the best who you are. It's better than Lando. Lando's in form is still only second or third place. Look how happy he is now. He doesn't have to worry about winning. That's when he's the happiest. You're better than that, Oscar.
Exactly. And don't even try to beat Max. Go out there and do what you do. Do what you did at the beginning of the season. And it will come back. Because when I look at this, the races where Oscar wasn't winning, it was largely Max. He has, if I'm reading this correctly, he's got more, whenever Oscar didn't win, more times than not, it was not Lando. It's a weird way to word that, but...
I understand what you're saying.
Right. It's Max, it's Russell.
So Lando's not a threat.
That's something to consider. Yeah. I mean, he is a threat. He's 14 points away. But leave Lando to himself, he'll fuck it up on his own.
Yeah, that's another way to look at it. Lando has 7 chances to fuck up. Odds are he will.
Yes.
All right. Before we finish up, do you have any general good or bads that you want to talk about?
I think there's a bunch. Maybe just to piss you off. Hulkenberg proved me right.
Oh, he
I'm
did.
not sure if you caught that.
No, I did. As soon as it happened, I was like, Sean nailed that prediction.
Yeah. The only way it could be better is if he gets points in the next 4 races, because then that would be the pattern to a T.
Stay tuned, everybody.
And it wasn't just the 10th place. And there was only one retirement this race, Nick, so you really have nothing to bitch about.
I'm not bitching.
That car looked great this weekend.
Mm-hmm. 4th in the sprint qualifying, too.
Yeah. Sainz, I think, had a good weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, on the podium in the sprint, he's getting comfortable in that car. And he seems to be getting his mojo back. Now, he got a bit cocky in the race and DNF'd and was the sole DNF. So he's got to watch out, but I think he's coming back. I think this is Sainz starting to round the corner, and I hope this is the start of Sainz's career proper, if you want to call it that.
Yes. And Albon's disappeared.
I think, yeah, which is unfortunate, but this, I think, Sainz's career from when he started till now, we've got to be in the 10-year range.
Yes.
You probably know better than I do, but it's around 10 years.
Yeah, I think this is his 11th season because he started in 2015 with Max. So,
right. And obviously he had wins with Ferrari. He had a lot of success with Ferrari, but Ferrari didn't know what the fuck they had and they let him go. I think Williams and what they're building here has the potential to make Sainz's career. It's unfortunate that it's taken 10 years, but I think this is going to be peak Sainz.
Well said.
And I'm not saying he's going to be world champion with Williams, but he's proving that the Red Bull program knows how to pick drivers.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and
I'm excited for the rest of the season because I think that car is going in a good direction. Albon needs to forget about Sainz and just race his own race. This weekend alone, Sainz jumped to 11th place.
Wow.
And I want to say he was in 14th prior to this weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
And three races ago, he was like at less than 15 points. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's on 39. Am I reading this right? 38 points. So he needs 2 more points to pass Hadjar for 10th.
Wow.
And that comes from effectively the halfway mark in the season, right?
Yeah.
He is the first podium scorer for Williams in how many years?
8.
Since Valtteri Bottas?
No, it was actually Lance Stroll.
Yes, right. Yep.
Everybody
Baku,
forgets
right?
about. Yeah, everybody forgets about that
Yep.
because he's so shit now.
Which, I mean, goes to show you that at one point Lance Stroll had potential, and then he realized he didn't have to try.
Or I think it's the hand braking. Like the breaking of the hand affected Ricardo in a catastrophic way, and I think Aston Martin refuses to admit that Lance Stroll cannot come back from this.
I refuse to accept that premise. And I have many reasons why, if you'd like to hear them.
Not today, but I have an idea of what it might be. We'll talk about that when we talk about all the drivers on the grid.
All right. Obviously, we talked about it a little bit. Yuki had a great weekend.
Mm-hmm.
What am I looking at here?
Yeah, two big
yeah.
comebacks. Yeah, 2 big comebacks, not just one.
Am I reading this right? He's 4th place in the sprint? 5th place in the sprint.
Oh, really?
Yes. 5th place in the sprint. No, that's wrong. 7th.
Yeah.
7th in the sprint. And he got 6 points in the race. So where does that put him, Nick?
7th in both races.
There you go. And he started at the back both times.
Yes.
And this is the beauty of Coda. It's a properly designed track where you can pass. And we saw so much good overtaking this weekend. Mind you had to go searching for it because the coverage, I don't know who was manning those cameras, but they didn't know what to fucking watch. We always seem to see everything as a replay and not in real time because they were focused on Max Verstappen 7 seconds ahead of everybody else. Anyway, when we did see it, we saw just how nice the overtakes were. Mind you, when it wasn't Lance Stroll running into Esteban Ocon in turn 1.
Ambitious. That's all I have to say about that.
Stevie Wonder could have seen that one wasn't going to work.
It's the way he just hit his side. That's what gets me. It's just like he didn't even try in turn. Whatever. Yeah.
It's the Family Guy. I turn now. Good luck, everybody else.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Do you want to talk briefly about how Colapinto just destroyed his own career?
Yeah, I have a solo episode coming up on that, but we might as well.
I mean, we can touch base on it. It was a ridiculous call when it came. The team orders to hold position for 16th and 17th. Joel and Palmer had some choice words for the Alpine team on that one. But it was a ridiculous call. You're in 15th, 16th, and 17th. You're not getting any points. It doesn't fucking matter. You've got a threat from behind. Why are you giving team orders to hold position? That's my question, right? But ultimately, that's what came down the line. And the fact that Bortoleto passed Gasly didn't bother me. What bothered me was they've given Colapinto every opportunity to keep his seat. He has 0 points. He is the worst performing driver on the grid. And this isn't my opinion. This is empirical data.
Yes.
He is the worst performing driver on the grid. In a season where Alpine, the last place team, has more points than any other 10th place finished team in F1 history.
Yes.
Let that sink in.
No, I get you. I get like they're not as bad. Yeah.
This is for our listeners, really. There has never been an F1 season where the 10th place team has more than 20 points. We are used to seeing the 10th place team have 0 points.
Yeah.
Have 1 point. This has been, exactly like I called it at the beginning of the season, a very competitive season. The midfield is extremely tight. Colapinto is empirically the worst driver on the grid at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But he was saying Gasly's too slow. I'm under pressure from behind. So he did what he did. And as a racing driver, I understand what he did. That being said, the team very clearly told him not to do it. All he had to do was listen to the goddamn team. Because what they were saying was, if he does what we say and doesn't fuck us over, he gets a seat next year. That minor move, which was a nice overtake, there was nothing wrong with it. It wasn't close. It wasn't combative, really. It was a well-placed move on a slower driver. For the team to come out and say, we don't agree with what he did and we are very upset that he did it, that's basically the team saying, listen, we've told him what he had to do to keep the seat and he didn't fucking do it.
That's a really good take. I didn't even think of that. I just thought it was just another Alpine clown show, right? Like just like everybody's against each other. Everybody's
It was
fighting.
just that.
It was, but in a sense, you're extrapolating the consequences. I didn't even think of that, and I'm Mr. Conspiracy.
I'm not extrapolating the consequences. They're there.
Oh, they said essentially that.
The team didn't need. The team did not need to put that statement out. The team just could have packed up and went home. But they put out a statement that said we are up. I forget what the wording was, but it's basically we're upset that he did this.
Yeah.
It's a very Flavio thing to do. You don't care. Nobody cares. You're running around the back of the group with no points. Just shut the fuck up and go home.
Yeah.
Just like Sauber did.
My opinion, he's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere.
Oh no, he's going to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Money.
But that's
is,
because Alpine is.
That's because Alpine is
French.
Really thought there
I
was.
thought we could have got there together, but
I thought there was something more profound coming, but okay. No, don't underestimate Flavio's ability to whore himself out for money. Like this is why I'm going to do a solo episode on this. The amount of YouTube channels and blogs that I see justifying what Colapinto has done this season and talking about look how close he is to Gasly in race pace. And it's like,
The points tally says otherwise.
Yeah, and one commenter said, in clear air, Franco's way better than Gasly. And in my head, I go, what's the ultimate form of clear air? Qualifying.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no,
Well, I would even go further to say the ultimate form of clear air is being out in P1.
yeah, okay. That actually is true there. But the point is, this actually circles back to what we talked about at the beginning of the episode. The media is trying to justify Franco's inclusion because, remember, we hate pay drivers. That's why the entire media has been talking shit about Lance Stroll for 5 years. But when there's a pay driver that everybody likes, that everybody who wants a piece of that money, because Lawrence Stroll's not giving away his money, it's just keeping it in Aston Martin. But Franco's throwing that money around two different teams now, and everybody wants a piece of that action now. He won't go anywhere. The media will justify it enough to convince us to keep him. And that's why you listen to Formula One Philosophy, who will tell you the truth. But yeah.
Yeah, and frankly, I think it's an opportunity for Flavio to make more money for the team.
Yes.
Because they threaten, okay, he didn't listen to us, we're going to boot him. Up your funding, from the Argentinian sponsors, whoever it is. The sponsor that was on the car this weekend. He's one of their big ones.
Oh, I forgot.
That yellow stripe that they added. Whatever. They're a big funder of Colapinto. Throw more funding into Alpine, maybe we'll keep him. It's a very Flavio thing to do.
Yes. And that's exactly what will happen. And on that bombshell, I think we should end the episode. Unless you got anything else.
I got plenty more, but it's going to be a long one.
We're at an hour, so I think that's best to just finish it off here.
Yeah. No, let's call it.
Okay, everybody, we'll be back after Mexico, and we're looking forward to what happens there. Every race now has consequences. So stay tuned, and please like and subscribe our podcast on YouTube and Spotify, f1philosophypod@gmail.com for any questions. Have a good night, Sean, and have a good rest of the week.
Have a good night, Nick. And just one thing for anybody listening, do get out there and comment. We do read the comments, like you've seen. We do respond to them. We may even mention you on air.
Well said.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.